Do you ever think the President of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment?
I mean, that son of a bitch, you know, is really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a bitch.
I mean,
Mr. Son of a bitch.
His royal, yes, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again.
Do you ever think the President of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment? The line hung in the air, sharp and uncomfortable. It was that kind of week. Everything felt like it was breaking at once. Poll numbers sliding, public anger rising, a war narrative spinning out of control. And right in the middle of it all stood Donald Trump, louder than ever, insisting that chaos was victory, panic was strength, and criticism was somehow proof of greatness. But this time, the pressure wasn't coming from one direction. It was coming from two of the biggest voices in late night. And together, they were about to turn the entire narrative into something Trump could no longer fully control.
Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here, I could go outside in the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going.
The president went on, I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. Nope, no, absolutely not, Kimmel. I am the martyr, okay?
Jimmy Kimmel hit first, and he hit with ridicule. He took Trump's grievance-filled messages, his collapsing approval numbers, and his increasingly strange attempts to sound strong, and reduced them to what they looked like from the outside. Not leadership, not control, just a man demanding applause while the country watched in disbelief. Then came the familiar rant from Donald Trump. Kimmel has no talent. They're going to be going. It was meant to sound like dominance, but Kimmel flipped it instantly. He didn't shout. He didn't argue. He just held up the contradiction and let the silence after the joke do the work. And in that silence, the image Trump was trying to project started to slip. Jimmy Kimmel didn't stop at jokes. He pushed deeper. He talked about what leadership is supposed to look like, and then held it up against what Donald Trump was actually doing. A president celebrating job losses, picking fights with comedians, and posting like a man arguing with his own reflection. Kimmel made it sound absurd, but also unmistakably clear. Not command, reaction. Not control, noise. The audience laughed, but the laughter had weight now. It wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was recognition. He turned Trump into something smaller than the image he was trying to project. A man rage-posting into the void and mistaking his own echo for support. And once that image settled in, it became hard to shake.
Trump's deadline for Iran to, quote, open the effing strait or you'll be living in hell. He gave a hard cutoff time of right now. And then this morning he wrote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. 4 months ago, I agree, I'm against civilizations being annihilated as well.
Then Stephen Colbert came in from the other side. Colder, more precise. He didn't just mock Donald Trump, he dissected the system around him. The pressure on media, the fear inside networks, the quiet ways power tries to bend coverage without saying it out loud. Colbert slowed everything down, repeated the language, and forced the audience to actually hear it instead of just reacting. He wasn't chasing laughs, he was building a case. And that's what made it more dangerous. A joke can be ignored, but a calm, repeated explanation starts to stick. It lingers, it builds, and the more it builds, the harder it becomes to escape. That's when the tone turned even sharper. Donald Trump's own words started doing the damage. Big declarations, threats, dramatic statements about war and total control. The kind meant to sound powerful, but under a slower lens, they felt unstable. Jimmy Kimmel turned that instability into punchlines, letting each one land just long enough to feel uncomfortable. Stephen Colbert, meanwhile, connected the dots. He showed the pattern, the loud claim, the backlash, the clarification, the repeat. Together, they didn't try to outshout Trump. They slowed him down. They made the audience sit with the contradictions, the tone, the repetition. And once people started seeing the pattern clearly, the spectacle began to shrink. What once looked dominant started to feel fragile. By the end, the reaction from Donald Trump followed the same familiar script. Attacks on ratings, insults toward hosts, demands for attention, attempts to control the narrative. But every response only made the image crack further. If these hosts didn't matter, why obsess over them? If the jokes were weak, why react so strongly? That contradiction kept getting exposed again and again. Jimmy Kimmel made the panic funny. Stephen Colbert made it understandable, and together, they did something Trump struggles against the most. They made him clear, not larger than life, not untouchable, but visible. And once the audience sees that clearly, the illusion starts to break. The shouting doesn't sound powerful anymore. It sounds defensive. It sounds strained. It sounds like something trying to hold control that's already slipping away.